Good morning, everybody, and especially good morning to our guests that Jonah has brought in here for us. We got Jesse and Sebastian. There's some individuals, they're going to tell you a little bit more about themselves as we kind of wrap up the briefing. But the understanding is they know why we know why they're here. They're here to see how well we're applying the process, the tools, the frameworks that we're teaching you here for project management, because they are looking for project management talent, right? So we're going to go through, we're going to start off with the Scrum Lords, and they are going to brief their sprint review that they did for the Neuro Ability Network. And with that, let's give everybody their attention, and we will follow along. With that, I turn it over to the Scrum Master for the Scrum Lords.
All right, hi everybody, I'm Leanne. I am the product owner for our group. We're the Scrum Lords, and this is our sprint review for the leadership handbook that we made for the Neuro Ability Network Foundation. I'm going to refer to them as the NAN network as we go through. Here's our agenda for the day. We're going to give a kickoff and introduction to the program. We're going to go through our backlog items, our deliverables, go through our burn down chart, and then we'll go quickly into our way ahead. And up here in your top right, you'll notice a QR code. That's gonna, if you guys want to follow along with our deliverables, that's the product that we made, is the handbook. So if you guys want to, you can follow along there. All right, so getting into our kickoff. So we had the privilege of sitting down with the founder, Dr. Christine Durfee, and Director Marcela Espinoza at the beginning of our project. So they told us a little bit about their nonprofit. So NAN is a nonprofit dedicated to fostering inclusive, community-driven leadership, leadership opportunities and growth opportunities within the community for neurodivergent adolescent kids. There's a gap in the community for these types of kids and their families, so the purpose of this program is to really foster a support network for them and to teach the community how to better support this group of people. The previous cohort developed a pen, you can see down here, a physical pen that the kids can get month to month as they complete activities. And for us, they wanted us to create this leadership handbook. So the idea behind that is to provide an overview, not just for the volunteer leaders, but for the kids and the parents as well, to give an overview of what the program is, how to conduct yourselves throughout the community, safety guides, logistics, and resources are included in that as well. So from there, once we were given our guidance, we took the Boy Scout guide and the Special Olympics guide, and from there we took the sections that we thought pertained to the NAN Foundation. And from that, coupled with other things that Christine wanted us to provide, we created our product backlog, which is a list of features and items that we wanted to complete to achieve her vision. So from there, we conducted Moscow, which is our prioritization method: must-haves, could-haves, should-haves, and won't-haves. So from there, we prioritized our product backlog, emphasizing value for Christine and what she wanted out of this leadership handbook. So moving on into our sprint.
Yeah, you just gotta click on that. Matches.
Okay, so here's our sprint backlog. Here on the right are our sections and headers, our status, who completed them, and our positions. And you'll notice down at the bottom is the design that we haven't started yet. We initially thought we had a couple more weeks for this project, but it's cut short. We're giving you our sprint review now. So we're going to kick that back into our product backlog and work on it in the future. All right, so moving into our deliverables, Catherine is not here today. She's taking a test. So I'll go over the program. So it's basically, this section is what I've already kind of given you. It's an introduction to the program. So kids age 3 through adult children are invited to this program along with their families to create a community that focuses on identifying strengths instead of noticing differences. And in the hopes of creating a world where people will create a community and support around these people to help them reach their potential. All right, and moving on to my section, which is the code of conduct. So here I wanted to create a code for each group of participants. So the child, the parents, and then our volunteer leaders. For the child, kept it simple, kept it short, easy to follow. So be safe, be respectful, be a helper, quick and easy. For the parents and the leader, both of those have a very big emphasis on safety, and that will cover physical safety as well as the environment that we're going to be in the community and different areas that we'll be experimenting in. For the parent as well, really just emphasizing supporting their kid and knowing how to interact with other children as well. And then for the leader, really fostering an era of professionalism, maintaining boundaries, and then creating inclusivity in their groups. And lastly, principles of ethics is in this section as well. I outlined 10 different principles that really act as a framework to guide actions and decisions for the participants to make sure we're upholding a high standard of respect and integrity. I'm going to pass it off to Lee.
Hi everyone, good morning. So today I'm going to be talking about the role of leadership and, for this NAN program and how it directly affects our values and standards. So as leaders, we have to set the tone by living the NAN mission and core values. We keep families informed so we can support each other consistently. Our job is to make sure that we create a safe and supportive environment for our families and our children. We should also focus on patience, fairness, and respect, and follow or lead by example. Professionalism builds trust trust and keeps the environment stable and positive. I'll now turn it over to the next presenter.
Hi, so I'm David, and I was the primary developer for the community and growth section. And so as Unique just said, as we think about our leaders, right, how are they exporting the resources and the support of the non to their communities? And we found like it really starts with communication, as you just mentioned, right? So the guide outlines some different thought processes and tools that volunteer facilitator can think through that make sure that they're creating trust and building connection throughout their communities. With that, we're also thinking about some of the structure of the meetings that they're going to have with their different participants, right? What are the agendas going to look like, and what are the timelines that they need to stay within as well? And then a big obstacle that we wanted to face with this was integrating the last project team's increment, the PIN, right? So we outlined some ways that a facilitator can think about hosting those recognition ceremonies to give that PIN to some of their participants. And then also we presented a course of action for the network overall to think about how to procure that PIN and distribute it throughout, maybe through a portal system or something. Next slide, please. And then also, so Rocky was the primary developer. He's also taking this test today. But as he questioned the idea of safety guidelines, the main approach to this was how does a facilitator manage the risk associated with bringing their communities together, under the NON? And so we really thought through, predictability, creating that, making sure that within the group they understand the different conditions that they're facing and how they're going to facilitate that throughout their communities, whether they're connecting with different influencers or first responders, to make sure that when do emergencies happen, that everyone is prepared and able to support that as well. One of the big things on the right is Robbie's kind of emergency profile, which gives a template for a volunteer facilitator to think through how are they categorizing the risks that they may face and how are they assigning responsibility to make sure that they can mitigate them when they do happen. We think this will also allow them to think through rehearsals as they work through within their own groups, and also an opportunity to connect with other groups across the network to kind of share best practices and build risk management throughout the network overall. Next slide.
Hello everyone, my name is Alex Morero. I took on the task of the resources portion of the leadership guide. My work centered around how could the resources section be used by the user to quickly locate information about the organization and its sources. Inside of the references guide, you'll find the organizational structure, the roles of the founders, as well as key highlights from the previous sections that my colleagues also compiled. Before the references section, you'll find a resources section created by my colleague Omar, who also could not be here today. With his section, he has more of an outward look as far as resources, and his section correlates with mine, so we were able to, he has sources as far as like local disability needs and disability services, and also additional resources on their needs. Together, we're able to create a unified section where we're able to look for outward and internal resources all in one place. With that, I'll turn it over to Jonathan.
I'm Jonathan. I was the primary editor of the book with the help of the team. I compiled all the information I received into the leadership book that's in the QR code. Our project started with 31 story points, and we started off a little slow because we were trying to define the scope and our definition of done. And once we figured out all that, we was able to start gathering information. Everyone started gathering information, was able to establish consistent velocity, and was actually able to get ahead of the schedule. And for the next couple of days, while they gathered information, day 5 is when I started the actual editing part, putting it all together, making any adjustments and stuff. And then day 7, we all got together, convened, and made any final adjustments. And by day 8, we had our MVP, our minimal viable product.
These are ideas that we identified as far as future scope project to carry on from where we are. This is our first deliverable, so this guide now has the opportunity to be able to be further refined, expanded, and improved on. Our goal is also to be able to reach out to local and international sources to be able to expand and build relationships with organizations as the network grows. That concludes our brief. Pending any questions.
All right,